Hey, what's everybody doing on this fine spring day? It is really looking like spring, I guess. I recognize the signs with the green grass, and I really like mowing my yard, so I actually do. It's just something that gives you that sense of completion that you need when you get old. Well, at least I did that today. That's what you tell yourself. Anyway, I just wanted to check in, tell a little story, and then get out of your hair. I'm going to talk about something that happened when I was clear back when I was in my 20s. I was a wildland firefighter for the county, Douglas County, in Southern Oregon. And I did that for 6 years. And it was a very fulfilling job. It's a good job for a young guy to get because it shows you what work really is. And eventually, if you stick around long enough, it'll also show you what it feels like to almost be killed. Maybe a couple times, you never know. I wanted to talk about one of those times in my life where I was almost killed. And military guys, they've got, of course, a lot more harrowing stories than I'm about to tell. But I still want to talk about it. And I would love to hear other people's stories, non-firefighter related, just stories about heroism or almost being killed. But there was a certain day that myself and my crew, Engine 16, consisting of 3 men, the forest officer, foreman, his name will be Wookie for this story, and his name isn't Wookie, but we did call him that. And my buddy Vern, who his name would be Big Red, but at any rate, then I was just Jeff. Never really garnered such a good nickname. But honestly, if you were going to call me something in those days, they might have still called me Pastor Jeff. Who knows? I didn't have all the behavior of a pastor, but as the story tells you, people find out real quick who they need to go to. We were in Engine 16, and our day was pretty much ending when a massive lightning storm came up over the Cascade Mountains through Southern Oregon and hit the Tiller Ranger District. And in the Tiller Ranger District in the summertime, there's all sorts of fire lookouts that logging units put right in there to camp. So if their trees catch fire, they can get someone there quick. We were called out to this logging unit, had to go up this hill on a cat trail. Cat trail is basically a dirt road that was dug by a cat. We went up there in Engine 16 and we met with the guy that called us. And the guy that called us, sadly and unfortunately, because he was going through some horrible things, was not real safe to be around. See, the thunder with the lightning had caused him to go into some sort of a stress, and we assessed that it was probably post-traumatic stress, or he was in shell shock and back in a war that he might have fought, but he wasn't being really clear. And he had with him a dog that I would say was pretty much half wolf, and those were actually kind of common out in Oregon and are very common if you're kind of living on the fringes and you want a good animal to protect you and your stuff while you sleep. Very common. And also, nothing better than a wolf to keep most things away. At any rate, we got up there and we could not find fire, and he was swearing there was fire. He was swearing that lightning had caused a fire, and the storm moved right on top of us. And it got extremely dangerous, and he got more and more hostile, and his wolf dog went nuts, and basically the 3 of us jumped in our truck and refused to stand out there with him as we spoke to him. And he kept promising us if we would just hike up this little knoll over here, we'd find a fire. As we're doing that, lightning strikes maybe 30 yards from us, knocks our radio out, and at that point in time, we tell him, you need to get off of this hill. We're getting off of this hill, and there's nothing we can do about a fire. Put your dog in your truck and let's go. He said no. my foreman, being such a nice guy, said, "Do you want to ride with us?" And I said, he better not. But he didn't want to. We talked him into leaving and driving behind us. We began down the road, and the road washed out underneath us. My foreman was driving. By the way, he was really short, much shorter than Vern and I. Vern's even taller than me. And Wookie was driving, and he had both his feet on the brakes, and we had pulled the emergency brake, and we were still flying down this hill because the downpour had become so hard that all the dirt, the very dry dirt from the very dry Oregon summer — Southern Oregon's actually really dry in the summer most of the time — was washing out from under us, and we could do nothing but try and guide that vehicle down the road. Now it's nighttime, so the guy behind us was following us. He had his lights on, and we watched as he just flipped right off the road. We could not stop. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't go help him. We were flying down the road. At one time, the Wook did say, "If you guys want to jump out, you can if you're afraid that we're going to roll." And my thought was, if I'm out and you roll, what are the odds you roll over me? I'd rather be in it. Anyway, we're flying down this hill, no way to stop. We've got a very heavy fire engine, so it's going. And both the Wook and Big Red say to me, "Jeff, please pray. Please pray, Jeff." And to be honest, I was already praying, but they wanted to hear the prayer. They wanted me to say something. They wanted me to call on God on behalf of all of us at that very second. They were scared. And it's my belief, I didn't go into this with them, but they didn't really know what to say in their fear. And I didn't want the Wook, taking his attention away from not hitting trees. So I prayed. I don't remember what I prayed, but I can guarantee you it had to do with, "God, Lord, please help us get off this hill safe and be with that guy that just flipped behind us." It wasn't too long before we finally made it down to the pavement and got out a handheld radio and called help for the guy that flipped behind us. We could not go back up and find him. He was brought out. He was alive. He was fine. He was brought out by helicopter, by his own logging unit, I believe. And we were okay. I showed up for work the next day, and Vern had carved a cross and put a little hole in it, looped it with some leather, and hung it in our dashboard. And he said to me, "I'm never going to forget this day because God saved us." And honestly, God saved us. Yes. God was going to save us whether I prayed or not out loud. I was already praying. They were really praying. Their hearts were asking God to help. They just wanted to hear the words. But what I wanted to say to you is, if your life is flying down the hill and you can't stop it, you don't think there's anything that's going to stop it, you see nothing but bad things, it feels like you're going to wreck, it's never, ever too late to pray. It's never, ever too late to say, "God, please help me land safely. This is a rough ride. Help me land safely. I don't want to be in this anymore." There was another time in my life where I finally had had enough of myself and enough of the things going on in my life when I cried out, "Please do something." It was that very night that he changed my life forever. That's in my testimony. But so many times since then, and the times before then, I had cried out to him. Maybe I wasn't as close to him as I needed to be. But guess what? He's only one step away every single time you need to cry out. And we can learn to stay closer. Anyway, that's the story. And if you need to say, "Please just help us, do something. Help me." Do it right now. Do it today. It'll change your life. Even if it doesn't change your circumstances immediately, it will change your life. I'll talk to you later.